Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Solidity programming language which we'll be using to write smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Before starting, I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Amrisha Kakuti and I'm working as a software engineer at Kpro Solutions Private Limited. Kpro is a leading provider in Datalake, cloud implementations, IoT, blockchain, analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and mobile application development. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's video. So the topics we'll be covering in this video are: what is polymorphism, function polymorphism, contract polymorphism, method overriding, abstract contracts, and finally interfaces. So let us start with what is polymorphism. So polymorphism refers to anything that has multiple forms. In Solidity, there are two types of polymorphism. The first one is function polymorphism and the second one is contract polymorphism. Now let us see what is function polymorphism. So function polymorphism refers to declaring multiple functions within the same contract or inheriting contracts having the same name. The functions with the same names may differ in data types of parameters or number of parameters. Here, the return types are not taken into consideration, and this function polymorphism is also known as method overloading. Now, let us have a look at an example of this function polymorphism. So, this is a simple contract which I'll use to explain you what function polymorphism is. So, here you can see this is a contract definition. So, here I have two functions. This one is this, and the other is this one. So both the functions have the same name, that is get value. But only the difference is that this function, the argument of this function is of type int8 and the argument of this function is of type int16. So this is basically what is meant by function polymorphism, and it's returning the value that is passed. Now let me quickly deploy this and I'll show you that this works perfectly fine. So this is for this one. Get value, it is returning 56, and here 89 for example. Get value, it is returning 89. You can see it's working perfectly fine. So where can we use this function polymorphism? So we can use this function polymorphism when we have multiple functions that is performing the same task but have different argument types or the number of arguments. So this is all about function polymorphism. Now let me go back to my slides. Now let us talk about what is contract polymorphism, which is the second type of polymorphism present in the Solidity language. So contract polymorphism refers to using multiple related contract instances interchangeably. Contract polymorphism helps in invoking derived contract functions using a base contract instance. So method overriding is a type of contract polymorphism. Next, let us see what this method overriding is. So method overriding refers to redefining a function available in the parent contract having the same name and signature in the derived contract. Now let us have a look at an example of method overriding. So this is the contract where I have performed method overriding. So here I have three contracts. In this contract I have performed the method overriding, but I'll show you what each of this contract is. So this is the base contract which has a global variable, that is a state variable, and it has a function by the name setValue, which is returning the value that will be passing while calling the function, and this is a get value which returns 5 irrespective of what value we'll be setting. Then we have this contract, derived contract, which is which inherits the base contract. Then here we have a state variable, that is 5, and here this function which we have inherited from this base contract. Here what we are doing is that we are here the function is we are inheriting this get value function, and here we are returning whatever value we'll be setting here, it will be returned. Okay. So now let us, okay, so there is another one contract. I'll just show you. So this is another contract in which we have created an instance of the derived contract using the reference of the base contract. So when we do this, what happens is that here we are saying that we want the functionalities of the base contract, but we want the implementations of the derived contract. Okay, so now let me quickly deploy this contract and I'll show you what exactly meant. So okay, let me just deploy this method overriding contract. Deploy. Yeah, sorry, I clicked on deploy twice. So I'll just click on this display polymorphism. In the console, we'll have the output. So output is coming as 100. Now let's see what did we pass there. So here we are calling the function, we are calling the function set value using the reference of the base contract. That is, we are calling this function and we pass the value 100 in there, I guess. Yeah. Okay, and then we are returning the get value function. So we are returning this get value function, but since we created the instance of the derived contract using the reference of the base contract, hence this function of the base contract will be overridden by this function of the derived contract. So instead of this function will be executed. Okay, so we are getting 100. So because we are returning the value whatever will be passing, so it's returning 100. So I'll quickly show you what did I exactly mean by that. So for example, I have another function here. Function, for example, get b public view returns, uint, and here I'm just doing return b. That is the state variable that we have declared in this derived contract. Okay, now if I deploy this derived contract, it should work fine. Deploy. So this is the one that got deployed. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So here we have get b. So if I click on here b, it is returning me 5. But when I deploy this contract, that is method overriding this contract. Okay, I'll just clear this out. Yeah. So here what we did is that we created the instance of this derived contract using the reference of the base contract, which meant that we want the functionalities of only the base class, but we want the implementation of those functions from the derived contract. So when we deploy this function will not be executed. So if I just here, if I using this reference, the base contract reference, if I try to call this function, it will give me an error. So I'll just show you b dot get b. It is giving me error, which is saying type member get b not found or not visible after argument dependent to contract base. So this is basically what happens when we create the instance of a contract in the derived contract using the reference of the base contract. So this is all about method overriding. Next, let me go back to my slides. Next, let us talk about abstract contract. So abstract contracts has partial function definitions. We cannot create an instance of an abstract contract. These abstract contracts must be inherited by a child contract. Abstract contracts helps in redefining structure of a contract, and there is no keyword to mark the contract as abstract. So whenever in a contract we have just a function declarations with no body, we can consider that contract as an abstract contract. Now let us have a look at an example of this abstract contract. So in this contract or this abstract contract is an abstract contract. So here you can see these two functions have just the declarations, that is the function signature, but it has no body, that is the function definitions, although this function has the function definition. So what happens in this abstract contract is that this contract has to be inherited by a child contract. This is the child contract that is inheriting this abstract contract, and it is providing implementations for these functions of the abstract contract. So your set value, that is this function, I'm setting the value with the value that is passed. This get value, simply returning the value, and this random is just I have provided implementation of, so and this is the random, this function, it got inherited, and I have provided a different implementation for this. And this contract, in this contract I'm creating an instance of the child contract using the object of the base contract, or using the reference of the base contract. So similarly, like the previous contract, even in this contract we'll have the functionalities of the base contract, but we'll have the implementations of the child contract. So when we'll be deploying this contract, we'll have the implementations based on these functions. Okay, so I'll quickly deploy this contract, that is the client deploy. Okay, so here you can see it is returning as 18 and 23. So we set the value as 18, so it is returning get value. So set value, we set it as 18 and it's returning just start value, so it's returning 18. So here you can see the output is 18, and the next one is random 5. We have passed 5 so into this function. So 5 plus 18 is giving us 23. So this is what basically abstract contract is. Now let me go back to my slides again. Next let us talk about inheritance. So next let us talk about interface. So interface does not contain any definition. It contains only function declarations. So these interfaces are also known as pure abstract contracts. So the interface contains only the signature of the functions. Interfaces cannot contain any state variable. They cannot inherit from other contracts, but can inherit from other interfaces. And it is declared using the interface keyword followed by an identifier. So when the abstract contract has no function definition at all, that is termed as interface. So hence it is also known as pure abstract contract. Now let us have a look at an example of interface. So this is an example of interface. So this is the interface which is declared using the interface keyword followed by the identifier, and within the curly braces we'll have the function declarations or the function signature. Then this is the contract that is inheriting this interface and is providing the implementation for these declared functions. And again, in this contract we are creating an instance of the child contract using the reference of the interface. So same thing, when we deploy it, all these implementations will happen, function implementations will happen. So let me deploy it. So here you can see it is returning 18. So what did we return exactly? We set the value as 18 and we are returning the get value. So here we are setting the value as 18, we passed 18 and it's returning us the get value. So this is basically what the interface is. So it looks almost like the abstract contract, only the difference is that it has the interface keyword and in the body it has no function definitions at all, only function declarations and no state variables. So this is all about interface. Now let us have a quick recap of the topics that we have covered in this video. In the beginning we talked about polymorphism, then we talked about function polymorphism, contract polymorphism, method overriding, abstract contract, and finally interface. Thank you for watching this video. In the next video, that is Introduction to Solidity Part 11, the topics I'll be covering are what is a function, modifiers, and finally state mutability functions, that is pure view and pure functions. Kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section below and let us know of any topic you want us to make a video of or any issue you might be facing in your project. You may write to us at feedback@kpro.co.in. You can also subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about technologies like blockchain, cloud, data science, ETL, data lake, DevOps, big data testing, cloud testing, etc. And you can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Thank you very much. Let's keep learning.